We're counting down the 10 most avoided outboard engines that dealers can't sell, buyers fear, and mechanics warn you to avoid at any cost. From abandoned award winners to luxury flops, quiet reputation killers, and industry-wide software traps, these engines earned their place through catastrophic failures, crushing depreciation, or service nightmares. So which outboard suffered the biggest market collapse? Let's begin our list, starting with number 10. Evinrude's G2 arrived with the promise of revolution. Launched in 2014, it boasted a starboard V6 layout, direct fuel injection, and claims of no scheduled maintenance for 5 years. Early reviews praised its torque, bold styling, and low emissions. But inside the industry, doubts simmered. Every G2 required dealer-only diagnostics, locking out independent mechanics and even skilled owners. As the engines hit real-world waters, reports of injector failures, sudden EMM shutdowns, and wiring harness issues surfaced. Owners faced weeks, sometimes months, waiting for proprietary parts. Forums filled with stories of boats stranded mid-season, downtime stretching from 2 to 12 weeks as dealers scrambled for software and replacement modules. Then, in May 2020, Bombardier Recreational Products ended Evinrude outboard production overnight. Dealers learned of the shutdown from a terse memo. Inventory, once hyped as cutting edge, became financial dead weight. Owners, now orphaned, formed online groups to trade repair tips and hunt for scarce parts. The G2's technical ambition, once celebrated, left thousands with unsellable engines and a brand legacy cut short by its own complexity. The Mercury Verado V12 arrived with the swagger of a flagship, 12 cylinders, integrated steering, and a price tag that rivaled luxury cars. At nearly 1,000 pounds dry, this engine demanded a big hull and even bigger pockets. Dealers lined up, convinced they had found the next status symbol for high-end boaters. But the gamble backfired. For most buyers, the sheer weight meant expensive haul-outs just for routine service. Integrated steering required factory-trained technicians and proprietary tools. As months passed, unsold V12s began to collect dust in showrooms, their sticker prices slashed by tens of thousands. Inventory audits revealed six-figure write-downs at some dealerships, losses that could not be masked by glossy brochures or rebate programs. Mechanics grumbled about service complexity, while smaller dealers quietly refused to take V12 trade-ins. The Verado V12's promise of prestige turned into a liability, its oversized ambitions leaving even the most optimistic dealers with engines no one wanted and balance sheets deep in the red. Saltwater was supposed to be the ultimate test for the Mercury Verado L6. Instead, it exposed a flaw that turned into a nightmare for owners and a public relations crisis for the brand. The problem began with the shift shaft, a steel component running through the lower unit, responsible for moving the engine in and out of gear. In saltwater, this shaft corroded rapidly, sometimes seizing entirely. Boats lost shift control offshore, leaving captains stranded and charters canceled. Mercury issued recall bulletins, urging owners to bring in their engines for inspection and replacement, but the damage was already widespread. Service campaigns followed, each one more urgent than the last. Mechanics reported repeated failures even after repairs, with some boats spending more time on the trailer than in the water. By 2018, the recall had swept through coastal fleets, forcing downtime that cost operators thousands. For many, the Verado L6 became a symbol of engineering oversight, an outboard that didn't just lose value, but put safety and livelihoods at risk. Yamaha's F350 entered the market in 2007 with a promise of unmatched offshore power. For charter captains and serious anglers, the badge meant reliability and prestige, until the first signs of trouble appeared deep inside the midsection. By 2009, mechanics began reporting a disturbing pattern: exhaust housings rotting from the inside out, corrosion eating through the very heart of the engine. Yamaha issued a series of engineering change orders between 2009 and 2014, each one attempting to patch the growing crisis. Owners brought in engines for midsection rebuilds, sometimes more than once, hoping each fix would be the last. But the saltwater kept winning. Charter operations in Florida and the Gulf counted lost trips and ruined seasons as F350s failed mid-voyage, sometimes leaving boats dead in the water miles from shore. Replacing the entire midsection became a routine, not a rare event. Service records from major dealers document dozens of catastrophic failures, with some shops reporting half their F350 rebuilds returning within 2 years. Despite the mounting evidence, Yamaha continued to market the F350 as a flagship, while mechanics quietly advised loyal customers to look elsewhere. The corrosion problem was never fully solved, only managed at great expense. For many, the F350 became a cautionary tale. Even the most trusted name can stumble when engineering shortcuts meet the relentless force of salt water. Yamaha's XTO 425 and 450 outboards were engineered for offshore dominance, pushing the limits of horsepower and electronic control. But for owners, the promise of power comes with a hidden price, one measured in hours of labor and mounting service bills. Unlike traditional designs, routine maintenance on the XTO often demands removal of the entire powerhead, a job that instantly adds 6 or more hours to even basic service. This isn't a rare event. Scheduled tasks like replacing steering actuators or addressing early charging faults can't be done in the field. Only certified dealers armed with specialized tools are authorized to handle these repairs. The steering actuator itself has become a notorious weak point, with some units requiring replacement in as little as 2 years. Each actuator swap means another powerhead pull, multiplying costs and downtime. Owners report bills running into the thousands, not for catastrophic failures, but for scheduled upkeep. For commercial operators, every hour lost is revenue gone. The economics are punishing. Labor charges stack up, parts are expensive, and warranty coverage often runs out before the first major service interval. As these engines age, dealers face a dilemma. The XTO's service burden is so high that resale values lag behind expectations, yet the badge still carries enough weight to keep owners loyal, at least for now. The next reckoning comes when depreciation outpaces even Yamaha's reputation for reliability, leaving both dealers and boaters questioning the true cost of innovation. Suzuki's DF350A arrived with a bold promise: the world's first production dual-prop outboard, designed to deliver more grip and smoother power than anything before it. Early marketing celebrated its engineering: the twin counter-rotating propellers, the 4.4-liter V6 block, and a claimed leap in efficiency. But the excitement faded fast when these engines hit the used market. Auction records from 2021 to 2024 show DF350As losing as much as 70% of their value within 3 years, a steeper drop than any Yamaha or Honda V6 in the same period. Dealers in non-coastal states report parts delays stretching up to a month, leaving owners with boats sidelined at the peak of summer. Mechanics point to the dual-prop system's complexity: twice the gears, twice the seals, and a design that demands specialized tools for even routine service. Corrosion complaints began surfacing within the first year for saltwater users, especially on lower units and prop shafts. Classified ads now warn buyers to expect long waits for repairs and to bring your own mechanic. For those who bought new, the resale shock has been brutal. Engines listed for less than half their original sticker, often with warranty still on the clock. The DF350A's technical ambition, once a selling point, has become a liability that dealers and owners can't unload fast enough. Honda's reputation for reliability has always made its outboards the safe choice for cautious buyers. But in July 2025, that sense of security cracked. A recall swept through the BF250 and BF350 lines after a design flaw in the shift actuator was linked to sudden, unpredictable gear engagement. Owners described engines locking into forward or reverse with no warning, sometimes while docking or maneuvering in tight quarters. The official recall urged operators to stop using their boats until repairs could be made. Service centers were quickly overwhelmed. Lead times for repairs, usually a week or two, stretched to over a month as parts shipments lagged and dealer schedules filled. Some owners waited as long as 45 days to get their boats back in the water. Mechanics traced the failures to a grounding issue in the actuator's position sensor, a tiny flaw that could turn a routine outing into a safety scare. The BF250 and BF350 had already faced quiet criticism for alternator complaints and chronic midsection wear. But the recall brought those simmering doubts into the open. Dealers, caught between angry customers and slow parts pipelines, began to pull back on new orders. Classifieds filled with used Hondas offered at deep discounts, often with warnings about recall status or repair delays. For a brand built on trust, the damage wasn't loud or dramatic. It was a slow erosion, each week of downtime and every missed trip eaten away at Honda's once unshakable reputation. Force outboards, once the hopeful future of boating, now sit abandoned on marina racks and in online classifieds, reminders of a cycle the industry has never escaped. Born from Chrysler's push to capture the outboard market in the late 1960s, Force engines were supposed to deliver affordable power to the masses. Instead, rushed assembly lines and cost-cut parts led to a reputation for breakdowns. Quality control slipped as Chrysler's Marine division changed hands, and by the 1980s, dealers struggled to keep even new units running. Mechanics recall engines arriving with misaligned crankshafts or electrical gremlins straight from the factory. Owners, lured by low prices, found themselves stranded by ignition failures or seized lower units, often within a single season. When Mercury acquired Force in 1986, there was a brief hope that things would turn around, but the brand's troubles ran too deep. Mercury's own dealer network hesitated to take on Force engines, wary of warranty headaches and a growing stigma. By the mid-1990s, the writing was on the wall. Mercury quietly killed the brand, leaving a generation of engines behind as dock ornaments, unsellable, unserviceable, and unwanted. Today, Force outboards linger in the background of every dealer's cautionary tale. Classified ads list them for pennies on the dollar, often with the warning, "for parts only." Mechanics rarely accept them for repair, and most marine shops refuse trade-ins outright. The story of Force is more than just a footnote. It's a warning that echoes through every modern outboard collapse. History shows that when manufacturers cut corners and abandon support, the fallout lasts for decades, leaving buyers to pay the price long after the brochures have faded. A growing number of outboard failures share a hidden culprit: the industry's quiet war on repair. Modern engines now arrive with their electronic brains locked behind proprietary software. For independent mechanics and even veteran technicians, a simple error code means hitting a digital wall. Diagnostic ports, once a gateway for troubleshooting, now reject anything but factory-issued tools. In 2025, nearly two-thirds of new outboards ship with encrypted engine control units, effectively blocking anyone but authorized dealers from even reading a fault code. Mechanics describe a world where basic repairs, changing a fuel injector, resetting a sensor, are impossible without a manufacturer login. Some shop owners have tried importing gray market diagnostic kits or reverse engineering software, only to receive cease and desist letters from legal teams. The threat is real. Lawsuits, lost business licenses, and blacklisting from parts suppliers. For small-town boat yards, the risk is enough to force them out of the outboard business entirely. Owners feel the squeeze firsthand. When an engine throws a code, the boat is dead in the water until a dealer can fit them in. Wait times stretch from days to weeks, especially in peak season. Frustration boils over on forums, where users swap tales of being locked out by updates or having their engines bricked by a failed software handshake. The right to repair movement has found a new battleground on the marina docks as boaters realize that a single software lock can turn a $30,000 outboard into a stranded asset overnight. The consequences ripple beyond inconvenience. Every failure becomes a crisis, downtime that ruins vacations, lost income for charter captains, and, for dealers, a stockroom full of unsellable engines. As more manufacturers double down on digital locks, the repairability crisis magnifies every breakdown, fueling the very market collapse that now haunts the industry. Dealerships across the country are facing a reckoning. Rows of unsold outboards, once the pride of showroom floors, now represent a mounting financial crisis. Floor plan loans, the backbone of dealer inventory financing, have become a trap as interest rates climb 2 to 3% above pre-boom levels. Engines that once turned over in weeks now sit idle for 6 months or more. By the 180-day mark, every extra day means more interest owed, more pressure to slash prices, and less hope of breaking even. In 2024, new boat sales fell by nearly 12% year over year, leaving dealers with a backlog of aging engines. To move stock, many resorted to markdowns of 15 to 25% below MSRP. These discounts, meant to lure buyers back, only deepened the pain. Each sale below cost eroded what little margin remained, threatening the survival of smaller dealerships. For some, the losses proved fatal. Trade association and lender data confirm a wave of bankruptcies and forced consolidations, especially among single-location operators who bought heavily during the pandemic boom. Manufacturer buybacks did little to stem the tide. Support was limited and often came too late. The numbers tell a story of collapse. In the Midwest and Gulf Coast, unit sales for pontoons and wake boats dropped by as much as 19% over 12 months. Dealers in these regions, once flush with high turnover inventory, now face write-downs and repossessions. Lenders, growing wary, have tightened standards and reported a spike in delinquent floor plan loans. Some dealers, desperate to clear the books, turn to liquidation exports, shipping unsold engines to overseas brokers or auctioning them off at steep losses. This flood of discounted, new but aged inventory has accelerated depreciation across the used market, slashing trade-in values for owners and driving a wedge between what buyers are willing to pay and what dealers need to survive. The consequences ripple outward. Service departments, once a steady profit center, have been gutted by layoffs as dealers scramble to cut costs. Owners who bought at the top of the market now find their engines worth a fraction of what they paid, with little recourse but to accept the loss. Classifieds are filled with nearly new outboards offered at deep discounts, many with warnings about parts delays or orphaned warranties. The industry's gamble on innovation and aggressive ordering has ended in a glut, an inventory meltdown that no rebate, incentive, or marketing push can disguise. For the first time in decades, dealers are openly admitting defeat, their showrooms crowded not with eager buyers, but with the unsold engines that no one wants. From the abrupt collapse of Evinrude's G2 to the industry-shaken dealer inventory crisis, this countdown exposed 10 outboards that define why nobody is buying and why those who do regret it. Across all entries, a clear pattern emerged. Bold engineering alone can't save an outboard plagued by reliability failures, impossible maintenance, or crippling software locks. Even trusted brands like Yamaha and Honda made the list, proving no name is immune when technical flaws or service nightmares outpace innovation. The most shocking entries, like the market-wide repairability crisis and the historical Force/Chrysler debacle, show that when manufacturers cut corners or restrict access, the damage echoes for years. Every engine here qualified because of a hard metric, market rejection, whether through catastrophic depreciation, chronic recalls, or unsold dealer stock. In the end, these failed outboards reveal a deeper truth about today's marine industry. When hype and complexity replace trust and serviceability, the market always fights back. The outboard graveyard keeps growing, and the lesson is clear. Buyers and builders ignore these warning signs at their own peril.